and bad news, Eagles fans. Good news, got the best record in football. Nobody can deny that. Bad news, you lost this weekend. Whole world watching to a divisional opponent in the Dallas Cowboys. Now, keep in mind, the Eagles were without their MVP candidate of Jalen Hurts, but that did not matter. Dak Prescott did not care at all whatsoever. Dak, 349 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he balled. On the flip side, Gardner Minshew still did do his thing. 360 yards of his own, 3 touchdowns, couple turnovers. With all of that being said, Shady, what did you learn about the Eagles when they lost to the Cowboys?
I learned a lot, right? And in my words of A.J. Brown, he said, it's never a loss, it's always a lesson. So the lesson I learned at that game when they lost to the Cowboys, we need Jalen Hurts, right? The running game suffered tremendously. I mean, with Jalen Hurts, we averaged 160 yards per game. Without him, 85 yards. Yards per carry is the biggest thing, right? People always love to talk about the yards. That's the yards per carry. We averaged 5 yards a carry with Jalen Hurts. When he wasn't there, only 3. So the biggest thing with the Eagles is how we win majority of the time, we run the ball because he can run it or throw it. And also, turnovers. You know, Gardner Minshew, I think he played solid, but he did have 3 turnovers. And my boy...
3 or 2? You giving him a fumble?
It's always... What you mean?
It's always quarterback.
He had 3.
It's always the quarterback's fault.
He had 3. You know the rules. Come on now. But listen, he had 3 turnovers in one game. But my boy, the MVP, Jalen Hurts, he only had 3 the whole year. So you take the turnovers away, you know what happens. All in Dallas. That's what I learned about that game. We need Jalen Hurts to win games. Simple as that.
What?
He's safe with the football. We can run the ball. We can throw the ball. That's a W.
So this thing, you're gonna do that after you lost.
That kind of slaps around a little bit.
With. What letter does lesson start with? Big L.
We took an L.
I thought.
I took it like a man too.
Okay. You did.
That's right.
That's
right.
Sport.
Stand up at.
You're losing like that. No, honestly, look. I mean, I can sit up here and talk trash, and it's fun. But, you shouldn't be hanging your head about that game if you're an Eagles fan or if you're part of the Eagles. I mean, they went toe-to-toe. And, look, let's be real. We all think the Niners and the Cowboys are probably the 2 toughest outs that the Eagles would have to deal with in the playoffs, right?
It's the Niners.
Okay, even if you agree with that, those are the 2 teams that are probably your stiffest competition. I mean, you can disagree if you want to. They normally do. They just beat you. I don't know what you want me to say.
They just without the you know who.
Oh, but we did a whole routine up here about how it doesn't matter that Cooper Rush was the starting quarterback. Cooper Rush. Get out of here. No, look, the Eagles are a really good team. Like to play that well and honestly still almost win. You know, they were in throwing range of the end zone with a chance to win the game even after the turnovers. They're a really good, really deep team. My only concern with the Eagles is that it seems like the injury bug's biting them at the wrong time. Like, they got to get Lane Johnson back. That is problematic. He hadn't allowed a sack since 2020. That's incredible. That's an incredible stat. Avonte Maddox goes down. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is on his way back, but they don't know when that's going to happen. And then obviously Jalen Hurts is the central piece of the offense. We saw that. They're so much more dangerous with the versatility that he has and obviously the way that he protects the football. But when are those guys coming back?
Coming back.
They need them. Honestly, I hope so because I want to see the Eagles at full strength. I would give anything. I want full strength on full strength in the divisional round of the playoffs. Yes, I do.
You want all that.
As a football fan, how could you not want to see that?
You want to show up to work.
I won't show up to work.
I'm looking for
You're the one that missed work the day after the Eagles lost to the Commanders.
That did happen.
That's all I'm saying.
That did happen. You were not here.
Don't make this a one-on-one.
Joy, where do you stand? What did you learn in the Eagles lost to the Cowboys?
Yeah, they need Jalen Hurts. They need the MVP candidates. One of the MVP candidates. Patrick Mahomes is obviously the MVP right now, and he's having an amazing season, so I don't want to say that. But they need Jalen Hurts. They're not going to win without him. I think he proved his value to this team. Again, I don't even know if I want to talk about this game anymore because I must have watched a different game. I had it on the wrong channel or something because what I watched was Gardner Minshew turn the ball over 3 times. 3.
Cooper Rush turned the ball over 3 times in the first
listen,
game. Oh, Cooper Rush, throwing that out there.
And the Eagles still managed to beat the Cowboys, who have a great defense. And the Cowboys managed to beat the Eagles in part to that defense who forced 4 turnovers.
Correct.
Yeah.
At home. This is a good win for the Cowboys. Like it was a good win for the Eagles.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what Cowboys fans are confused about. This is the problem I have hyping up a game where there's backup quarterbacks in it. Because it's not really full strength against full strength. And then everybody starts getting all crazy. Relax. It was a good win for the Cowboys. Dak played well enough to win.
Dak did.
He had a nice game.
He did play well.
Shady gave it a little more credit than he needed to, but I respect it. And the Cowboys defense was great. What you learn about the Eagles is this team is going to go as Jalen Hurts goes. And the important part is what Dave mentioned. The injuries are very, very concerning. Yeah. You cannot overlook the injuries as we're going into the most important part of the season for the Eagles this year.
I'm torn. Well, what I learned about the Eagles is that they are the second best team in the NFC. The San Francisco 49ers, second best. The San Francisco 49ers are the best team in the NFC. Go back and date it October 6th when I said the 49ers were the scariest team in football, and now the 49ers are playing like it. So that's what I learned first and foremost. The second thing, though, is, man, I think the Eagles missed Chauncey Gardner-Johnson as much as they missed anybody on that football field.
He's a hell of a player.
I mean, Jalen Hurts, clearly he was missed. But when I think about offensive output, I didn't mind what Gardner Minshew did. Gardner Minshew had 360 yards. On average, Jalen Hurts has 355 yards a game. Jalen Hurts' season-high yardage output, running and passing, 392. Season yards, touchdowns, 4 touchdowns. Turnovers, absolutely, beyond the shadow of a doubt. And more than anything, Jalen Hurts can overcome turnovers, right? Against the Chicago Bears, he had 2 of them, but he overcame them.
Yes, he did.
But when I think about the Eagles, man, that defense, it is inexcusable and unacceptable for Dak Prescott to go out there and have 350 yards, Dave, was it, and 3 touchdown passes. It's inexcusable. It is inexcusable to allow Dak Prescott to convert on 3rd and 30. That is inexcusable. It's inexcusable for CeeDee Lamb to go out there and get busy when you have 2 Pro Bowl caliber cornerbacks and 1 is all pro caliber. It's inexcusable. Say what you will about the absence of Jalen Hurts and say whatever you want, truly. But at the end of the day, if you give up 40 points,
but
40 points?
When you give them 4 extra possessions, what are you supposed to do? The 3rd and 30, I'll give you. Okay, that was
inexcusable.
That's inexcusable. But you turn the ball over 4 times.
That's a good point.
The Cowboys defense forced 4 turnovers. Let me say that. Okay, that's extra possessions for Dak Prescott, who's a good quarterback with good wide receivers.
But
what they're supposed to do that. And despite all that,
but you shouldn't let them score on them.
Still had an opportunity at the end of the game.
That's hard to say.
It is, but
to go win the game.
Here's what they say. They call defensive players, hey, when there's a turnover, hey, fireman, go put the fire out. That's what they say on sidelines to the defense. It's not the fault of the Eagles' defense that there was a fire. But the job description of the defense, whenever there's a turnover, everybody starts talking about fireman this, fireman that. You put the fire out.
But firemen get days off.
Honestly, regardless, you just can't allow 40 points. You can't allow.
I think we played a bad day on defense. That happens, right? It's the NFL. But to her point, she's right. Like, getting a turnover is one thing, but getting a turnover on the other side of the other team's territory,
correct.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So 2 of them times they mess around with the handoff, whatever happened with that. They was right there in the red zone, right there.
It's almost when it's
on
like,
the 20-yard line.
It's almost like at that point, you got to make them kick a field goal. You got to do something like, as a defense.
That's hard to do. Come on,
I know it's hard to do, but Shady, 40 points? 40 points? But you know how many points 40 points?
What she's saying is, no, Dak balled out. He balled. But what she's saying is, like, to get that many points, you had to have some help.
You did.
That help is some turnovers.
You did. You absolutely did.
And the Cowboys defense is responsible for that.
Yes,
they are. You had a quarterback in Gardner Minshew.
Some handoffs, like.
But look, we know Jalen Hurts doesn't turn the ball over at a high level.
Right.
Gardner Minshew had 3 turnovers in 1 game.
But it's not like they were pick sixes. The Eagles got a pick 6. The Eagles scored on defense. The Cowboys, those turnovers have nothing to do with 8 of 15 on 3rd down with 19 first downs.
But they do have something to do with extra. 4 turnovers is an exorbitant amount of turnovers.
It absolutely is. But remember,
defense is tired as hell.
Let's flip this. And I don't want to be the Cowboys defendant. Dave, you can take the baton, but actually have to take the commercial break. Flip it on the set. How many turnovers did the Cowboys have when they played the Eagles?
I can't
3.
remember.
Yeah,
3.
No, I do.
And the Eagles scored 24 points that game.
27.
Where was the turnovers at, though? That matters. That don't matter?
It absolutely does matter.
So, first of all, they kicked the ball off, get the ball on the 25-yard line, 20-yard line. Fumble.
I'm saying we saw it before. The Cooper Rush turned the ball over.
Turned the ball over in his own territory.
I don't remember when that game was.
Let me tell you what happened in that game. Jalen Hurts had 155 yards passing. Dak Prescott had 350. At the end of the day, you can turn the ball over all you want, but on that defense, if you're a Super Bowl defense, you got to do something about it. You got to put the fire out.
Let's get the break because I'm not trying to hear this no more.
Coming up, let me tell you what Broncos fans are not trying to hear. That Nathaniel Hackett